Hey, so I'm not sure what happened with the Facebook Live. It jumped and you didn't actually get to see what I said about veggie stock, so I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to film another video that's just a filmed video, and this should be okay. And anyway, I'm sorry about that. So what I had said in my my live update on Facebook is that you don't need to throw away your scraps when you are doing anything with veggies. My hand is shaking. It's really hard to hold this, but I have actually bought stuff because I'm making a roast today. I have not added potato things to it yet because potatoes are starchy and they do not hold up well when you're making vegetable stock. You need to not have potatoes or skins or whatever of the potatoes in your veggie stock. They're unnecessary. They add no flavor. They can cause cloudiness and they're just, it's pointless. So don't bother adding potatoes. To this though, I went ahead and I sliced up, I skinned or peeled or whatever you want to call it, my carrots. They have a little bit of seasoning powder on them. So I did carrots and I put the peels, my hands are clean, in my pot. And then I did onions and I cut the tops and the ends off of my onions. And those are in my pot right there. Normal things that I would discard. And then I cut up my celery, which again has seasonings on it. So like my yellow pieces, the bottom of the celery, even the top of the celery with the leaves, it's kind of down in the bottom because it was one of the first things to go in. But these pieces that you would normally discard and consider trash, if you don't have livestock to feed with them, it's not. You can actually get a really good veggie stock out of those. They're very flavorful. I also bought, because my husband and I like green onions in our omelets, so I went ahead and got some green onions and I went ahead and cut the ends off of those. So there's the ends to my green onions that I went ahead and put in there. And then I got a little parsley and put just a little bit of parsley in there. So what I'm going to do with the rest of my parsley is I have it over here. I think I'm showing it. Yeah, I've got it pressed between two paper towels and I'm going to be getting that good and dried off. And then once that's dry, see, this is actually what bound the green onions together. They're rubber bands. I'm not going to waste those. Once my parsley is dry, I'm going to put it in a paper bag. I'm going to divvy it up a little bit so it's not too much on top of each other. But I'm going to put it in brown paper bags, tie the top closed. I'm going to put those on top of my fridge and I'm going to leave them for about a week. They're going to get nice and dry, and then I'm going to take a mortar and pestle and I am going to have good fresh dried parsley to add with my good fresh dried basil out of my garden. So I'll have some fresher herbs for the winter time. So you don't have to waste anything when you're making food. Everything has its use, and you can actually take what you would consider trash and scraps. I've got this in filtered water. I actually got the filtered water out of my fridge, not my tap, because I don't want fluoride and whatever other chemicals that they have in the water. I don't want that in my stock. So I just used filtered water for this. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it on a boil on my stovetop, and I'm gonna boil it for probably about an hour. You know, I'll simmer. So I'll bring it to a boil and then turn that down to a simmer and just let it sit in there for about an hour or so. And then I'm going to pressure can it. You don't have to pressure can it. You can actually take this and you can spoon it out into ice cube trays and you can freeze it. And then once it's frozen, you can take those ice cubes, turn them out into a freezer safe bag, and you have adorable little veggie stock, ice cube sized additives for your food. And you know where it came from. I washed all my veggies in a water and vinegar bath before I soaked them really well before I peeled them and cut them. So these are not dirty. And I know like celery is on one of the top dirtiest vegetables list. So I made sure I pulled it apart so it could get really good and clean. And I got it in that vinegar bath and I left it in there for about 15 minutes. And then I rinsed it off. So it's good and clean to go into my veggie stock, because I don't want to be eating dirty veggie stock, even if it is just the discarded pieces of vegetables. So I hope that explained everything. I'm sorry again, it got cut off. This is my roast. I'm going to be adding some potatoes soon. And all I do is I add ranch powder. That's ranch powder. And I add the French onion dip powder that you can get out of the stores. And that's all I use to season mine, aside from salt and pepper. And anything that we don't eat, I will be canning for later. I may or may not pull out the potatoes. I do pressure can it, so I'm not sure yet. But I'll be canning that for later. and it'll be really good to save. But anyway, I hope that that helps you guys out with Thanksgiving coming. If you're peeling carrots and you have celery, you have onions, you can make a delicious veggie stock just out of that alone. You don't even need to have the other stuff added in that I added into mine. Celery, carrots, and onion is plenty. If you want to add some parsley, it's really cheap, and it also adds a lot of flavor to it. You don't have to salt and pepper it really heavily. It's good to add about a ½ teaspoon of salt to it, depending on if you're canning it versus freezing it. If you're freezing it, don't bother adding salt. If you're canning it, per quart, I'd say add about a ½ teaspoon of salt. Just for preservation's sake, and make sure you're pressure canning that and pressure canning it according to the directions of your pressure canner. If you have the manual. If you don't have the manual and you got it secondhand, look up the pressure canner and make sure that you're canning it safely and correctly. So I hope you guys have a great day. Like I said, I'm sorry the video cut out, but I hope that explains what I had said before. So anyway, have a good day. Bye, y'all.